What's happening, guys? Good afternoon. So if you guys watched my last video or follow me on social media, Instagram or something, then you'll have known that 2019 so far has not really been my year. All three cars are, well, two cars are down, and the spare car that is like a backup for all of us took a dump last night on the way home. So I don't know if it's fuel filter or what. I don't know. I got a tow truck coming to come drop it off here in like an hour, so I'll work on that when I get to it. But good news is I got the transmission fixed on the Del Sol. I swapped it out. Huge thank you to Giovanni for lending me his and for sticking around last night to help me knock it out. I think we got it done in like 3.5 hours. Swapped him out, so not really bad at all. I'm stoked on that. But today I just dropped the Del Sol off at Discount Tire. I'm getting some new tires, just some Hankook Ventus V2s. Which I want to also give a huge shout out to, sorry if I butcher the name, it's Silvera727 on Instagram. So he's actually, I believe he's had a manager down at a Discount Tire in another state, and he was able to call up and get my installation fee waived. So that seriously saves me a lot of money right now, especially when I need it most with all these cars being broken. So thankfully everything except for the clutch has shown up for the Civic, which it was supposed to be here yesterday. Hopefully it comes today, because as soon as the clutch gets here, we get the motor in. My brother right now is inside, but he is currently working on installing the coilovers. So these ones are temporary. They're just the eBay full body from Speed Daddy, I think. So they look pretty good. They are 24-way adjustable dampening, which kind of scares me in a $220 coilover. But you know what, it's worth a shot. Better than blown out stock coils on lowering springs that was on here before. And I think one of my followers on here, I believe his YouTube channel is Slow Skyler. I think his Instagram handle is the same. But he's actually rocking these same exact coils, the Max Peating Rods ones. So he's had his on for a few months, I believe, and he hasn't had any issues other than a rough first week of a break-in period. So we figured we may as well give him a shot, because I mean, 200 bucks, yeah, it's a lot, but if it's enough to at least get the car on the road for now, I mean, it's a risk that we're willing to take. So yeah, we'll finish up these coilovers and then patiently wait for my tires to get done, patiently wait for the clutch to show up. And I also got my K-Tune Hall effect sensor on. It did not fix my problem, so I'm still at square one, but I think I may be one step closer, because somebody had pointed out that my battery voltage on my data log thingy was only reading at 12.2 volts with the car at idle. So I checked the battery, it's at 12.2, it's got what it needs. My kill switch is showing the same voltage, the alternator with the car off is showing the same voltage, but with the car on, it's not. So that's one of the things that totally slipped my mind, is power, like getting enough power, because I know that if you don't have enough voltage, especially to the ECU, it's not going to run correctly. It can put the car in limp mode, and it can cause all sorts of issues, because the ECU is not going to send the necessary like signal and voltage to all the sensors and whatnot. And I know, obviously I have a K-swap, but I know in DAs in general, I believe they have an ELD mounted somewhere under the dash, and they're just a little bit more prone to electronic failures than say an EGDC chassis. So I ordered an alternator. They are $160 remanufactured, and you know, I can't really complain, because I checked out OEMAccuraparts.com, where I get a lot of my like OEM stuff for the car. $955 for an OEM Denso unit K28-2 alternator. So I'll take my chance on the lifetime warranty O'Reilly remanufacture one. I'll have them test it before I actually take it out, like take it home. But if this fixes my problem, I'm going to be so relieved. The Del Sol is running again. The power steering rack needs to be swapped out, but I mean, it's at least driving again, so that's already a lot of stress off my shoulders. So that's one car fixed, mostly. This year has turned out to be crap so far, but it's just trying to make things turn around. So let's get to work. I just went and picked up the Del Sol. Got these freshies on here. Like I said, there's just the Hankook Ventus V2 Concept 2s. So car ride's super smooth now. I'm so stoked now. I don't have to be worrying about airing out my tire every other day, which is my main issue. So these ones are a little bit wider. I was running a 185 before, a 185/55. So these are a little bit wider, a little bit skinnier. So I'm not really gonna mess with my alignment much, like my ride height, because it's just got a hair more gap than it did before, but I'm really not concerned about it. It rides good, and so I'll just leave it at that for a while. But just still waiting on the clutch. Has not showed up yet. So these are the factory struts that was on the Civic. You can see they're pretty blown out. These are like totally squished down. I don't know if these are aftermarket springs or not. I'm assuming they are because I don't think Honda springs are silver. But he just finished up getting the coilovers on. Went on pretty easy, so obviously can't fully tell how the ride height is from here, so we gotta slap the wheels on and mess with it a bit. But while he's messing with that, I'm gonna come over here. I gotta pull the flywheel bolts off too. And my alternator should be showing up at O'Reilly's here in a little bit, so I'm going to pop this alternator off really quick. It's just tensioner, like 2 or 3 bolts, and it pulls right off. So I'll do that. I'm seriously so hoping this fixes it. I'm not holding my breath. I just have high hopes. But I'm gonna pop this flywheel off quick so I can take those bolts. Also courtesy of Giovanni. Thank you. So I just pulled my alternator out. I got it in my toolbox right now, just waiting for O'Reilly's to call me. In the meantime, I am trying to do the retapping on this, because this is one of the first things I wrote on my list of things to do before I put the car back together. So I figure right now, before I get everything back together, all the wheels and stuff on, I would retap this. So the other hole is perfectly fine. It's just this right side hole is a little bit on the strip side. Got my replacement alternator, just slapped it in, did my test as before. I had him bench test the alternator at the store, my old one, and it came back good 4 out of 4 times. So I kind of was like, I don't know, I'll take the other one just in case. And the other one did not change anything, so that pretty much leaves just a harness issue at this point. So I honestly have no idea what I'm doing in terms of checking for that other than loose pin fits and stuff, but I don't know. Roy may come over a little bit later to try and help me test some connections and stuff, but I just really am in over my head, so I need to either get a new harness or I need to take my harness out and take it to somebody that can repair it, because Brian's too busy and that's just not really an option at this point, it's sounding like. So I guess it's good that I narrowed it down to, I'm assuming, pretty much just the harness. Just sucks that it's just the harness. So whatever, I'm gonna go run this new alternator back and at least get some money back. We're still waiting on this stupid clutch though. It's supposed to be delivered today, but I mean, who knows? Postal service sucks. So yeah, I'll go do this, and if and when okay, so I know, like I said, the alternator did not work, which kind of got me wondering why it's not getting power, or it's not charging itself. So I just did a little bit more research and I decided to come out here and test the connector itself. So I got the yellow black wire, which is the 12-volt power wire for this plug. I've got it jumped with a paper clip right now. So let me let's see, I got this grounded out and touching it, and we're getting no signal. So no signal to the harness, or to the charge harness, I'm sorry, the alternator wire. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to check my fuses really quick, because there's a very good chance I could have just blown a fuse, maybe shorted something out somehow. But I'm trying to teach myself how to do this, because right now I'm pretty much left solo. I can call Brian for some advice, but he's just obviously just busy, so he doesn't have time to come down here and rip my harness out for me and teach me how to do this. So I'm trying to teach myself. So check fuses, and then gotta start checking for continuity. That's the part that I'm still trying to learn. That's the confusing one, but I don't know, man. Hopefully I can get this figured out. I got nothing going on. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon, almost 4 o'clock, and the clutch still hasn't arrived, so I don't think we're doing the swap this weekend, which is unfortunate. But I mean, if I can get the Integra one step closer to running correctly, or running correctly just totally, then I will be a very, very happy boy. Alright guys, so I finally figured this car out. So let me just kind of show you the steps that I went through really quick. All right, so I apologize for the poor lighting, but down there, obviously there's the alternator. There's that green plug that comes off the back of it down there or whatever. So I swapped out alternators, didn't fix it, so I started checking the plug for power. The plug did not have power. So obviously that means something was wrong back there. So I called Brian, told me which wire, because I don't have a diagram, which wire is the power wire. So I traced that back into the cab to the C101 plug, which is this big plug right here that the light's on. So on the male end of it that's coming out and goes to the ECU, I had 12.2 volts, the same like the voltage needed. But obviously that means from the second half to the alternator somewhere, I was getting a bad connection. So I called JB Tuned, because he's also a wiring guru. He told me to check for continuity. I didn't know how, so he told me how. And he told me there's a little charge sub harness right here, which there is. You see these two connectors right there, the two gray ones down there, the 1 pin and the 6 pin. So mine only had the 1 pin connected because I didn't see the other one down there. So I undo my knock sensor, my starter, and my alternator, pull the harness out, and I'm on the phone with JB, and he's like, all right, so check for continuity, blah, blah. This sub harness had continuity for the alternator wire. So then I was like, well, my harness only has this one big connector. He's like, well, that's not possible. So I was like, well, there's also this 5-wire 6-pin connector, but I didn't see where it plugged into. So lo and behold, the harness, the rest of the engine harness here had fallen down below the starter and out of sight. So I couldn't see it. So I check it for voltage on the black yellow wire. Sure enough, it's got 12 volts. So I plug it all up, and now the car is finally running pretty normal. I still gotta mess with the tune a little bit, and I'll fire it up here in a minute, but it's not going into limp mode anymore. It's not leaning out at 18's, idling pretty right at like 14.3, 14.5, and everything's normal again. So I do have to go into my tune a little bit and mess with some stuff. When I was emailing K-Tuner, I told him that my throttle percentage range was, what is it? That is bright. It is 3% to 67% closed to wide open throttle, so he said that's fine. And to change the closed loop settings for that in the tune, so I have to try and figure that out, and I have to call JB for that too. But so basically, I have to set it for 10% below, so that way the computer reads once I hit 57% throttle, then it's going to register as full throttle, and then it'll start putting the wide open throttle map or whatever, however all that works. But finally, I've been racking my brain on this for easy 2 weeks, if not longer, since, I mean, definitely since I put the motor in. So the first original issue could have very well just been a bad TPS sensor, but this whole mess that it's been the last like week, feels so accomplished now. Obviously it's pretty late in the day. Clutch still hasn't shown up, tires still haven't shown up, so kind of getting pretty agitated at that. I mean, I'm super stoked that obviously I got both my cars back up and running now, but now we're just trying to fight the mailman for the parts for the stupid Civic. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna mess with this a little bit, mess with my tune a little bit, try and figure that out, and I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow when hopefully we get some work done on the Civic. So now Sunday, still don't have the clutch. Kind of just gonna go off and do what everybody else has been doing, which is this whole 2018 recap type stuff. I did one last year, and I don't know, I'm not super big on it, but it is kind of fun to take a minute to kind of look back and reflect on what happened this past year. So I'm in the Del Sol right now. It's a cold, rainy, wet day. Both cars are running good. Obviously I would be in the Integra, but it's cold, doesn't have windshield wipers, so I'm gonna go cruise the canyon, just drive through it, and pick a nice spot to park, and we can kind of just cover on what 2018 had for me. Well, this seems like as good a spot of any. Just this little parking lot here on the side of the lake by this little one-lane bridge thing. So I've just been out here shooting a few photos too, because it's like perfect out right now. Rain finally stopped, so I can drive with the top off. It is pretty chilly with the roof off, honestly, but it's whatever. So to start this off, I just kind of wanted to, I'm not going to go over everything that happened in 2018, just kind of like the parts that I thought were really cool, because a lot happened in 2018, a lot of good, a lot of bad, and yeah, I just don't want to go over it all. So I'll just go over the parts that I liked or that stood out to me the most. And I just want to start the year, or start it with the beginning of the year, because the end of 2017, the first part of 2018 was pretty rough because I was out of work. I was actively looking for a job, but really nobody was hiring at the time because winter out here, nobody really hires, which is kind of weird because Arizona, you know, that's usually when it's busier because we have the weather for it. So unfortunately nobody was hiring, but I had ran into Brian at that point thanks to Robert at Hush Performance. I was already hanging out with them, and I got started with all that because Mark McKenzie, aka Honda Street Garage, he actually hit me up because while I was out of work, I was trying to do like freelance type stuff, like video work for anybody that needed it. And Robert needed help doing a live stream at one point with Huffy Talk or something like that. It was right before that, I think. I don't know. Either way. So yeah, he got me in contact with Robert, and then Robert took me to meet Brian and stuff, and that's kind of how all that started. So I had kind of begun my journey, I guess you would say, with Hassport, and I hadn't started working there yet. I didn't start working at Hassport until probably like March or April, but I mean, to me it was significant at the start of the year because that's when we got our Type R, that's when we got to rip it apart, that's when my channel kind of got a really good growth spurt, because obviously ripping a motor out of a Type R isn't exactly a subtle thing to do, and especially at the start of 2018 when they had just come out, what, a few months prior in middle of 2017 or something like that. So that was probably my favorite thing to start the year off with, was getting to be at Hassport every day and do cool stuff like that. Go to California a lot with Brian because he was taking me on trips to film footage for VTech Academy so I could edit it, and then getting the job at Hassport. The cool thing about working at Hassport though and being around there was that I got to meet people on the California trips. Like we went to Honda Performance Development, HPD, we go there frequently. I got to meet Busy, I'm sorry I don't know his last name, but the Busy from like Busy Moto. Incredible dude, super nice guy. I got to meet Doug, I don't know these people's last names, but Doug from Hyundai, the owner of Hyundai, and people like that, which was just an incredibly like awesome experience, because I mean automotive stuff is sick, so Honda stuff in general obviously is a good chunk of my life right now, and so to meet the people that kind of like run the business in the aftermarket community at least is pretty awesome. But I mean, all that glitters isn't gold. I was, for the first while of being at Hassport, I was stuck in shipping, and for me it was just a living nightmare. It was literally a revolving nightmare of having to wake up, go stand in a corner and stuff boxes all day, and just rinse and repeat, and I hated it with every ounce of everything in me. So thankfully I got out of that. I was able to get into welding down there, which obviously comes in handy big time, and it's probably one of my favorite things to do. Production welding can get very repetitive, but just welding in general, it's just so, to me it's so much fun, and now that I'm learning how to TIG weld, I'm extremely grateful for that. But I think one of the main events that was my favorite thing about 2018 was IBOC, because not only did I get to K-swap my car, which was also one of my favorite parts of 2018, I swapped the car in April. So I had picked up my motor in December, basically right at my birthday, as my birthday present to myself was my K28-2 that I had pulled from the junkyard. And I remember going to the junkyard. It was like, I went with Brian to meet up because I was going to help him find something. We were searching for, I want to say like flex fuel sensors or something, but I had mentioned to him like, I really want a K-series, like you guys have talked me into a K-swap now. So he was like, all right, well, if you've got the money on you right now, which I did because I got in a really good YouTube check that month from all the Type R stuff, plus I got birthday money and stuff. So I was like, all right, yeah, sick. And then he was like, the next motor that we find in here, if we find one today, I'll let you take, doesn't matter what it is. So it could have been an Accord one or whatever, and thankfully, obviously he goes there a lot, so the guy, when we walked in, he was like, hey, we just got a new car in, we got an RSX, and the Lodge just fresh in there, put it in this morning. So we go in there, and it's actually a Type S. The motor had already been pulled from the car. It was hanging on the cherry picker like crane thing above it, and the transmission was already gone because the scandalous little yard workers there had already started to pull it. So Brian was like, he was bummed, but he said I could take it. So he's a man of his word, so he let me take it. And so what we did is we stuffed it in a wheelbarrow and put it across the lot into like some Dodge Caravan or something like that was in the yard, and we came back the next day for 50% off day, and was able to get my motor for 160 bucks. So for all of you that may have been wondering how much I paid for it or how I got it, that is how I got it. So that was probably one of my favorite parts of the year. And then I spent the next, December, I spent the next 3.5 months gathering parts, because if any of you have ever gone casers, you know that there's a lot that you need to get, and it's not cheap. And I even went the cheap route at first. I did as much of it myself, made a bunch of brackets, and did stuff like that, so that way I could even cut the budget down. But April is when we got to do the swap, and man, that was sick. So we had 3 days to do the K20 swap, because we had to do a Emiliano swap as well. So we did mine, technically got it running within 2 to 3 days, but it took about a week to get it actually on the road because of ECU and stuff and the exhaust, really. But then I got to go to IBOC, and IBOC, I want to say, was my favorite part of 2018 for sure, like event-wise, because I got to meet so many of you guys. The car was driving. It was hell getting it to IBOC with the fuel issues and blowing fuses, so the car wouldn't start on its own. Had to bump start it out of IBOC, but it was sick. You guys were incredible. I literally spent the entirety of the day, as soon as the gates opened, just meeting you guys, showing people the car, getting pictures with people. I even signed my first set of autographs, which was incredibly humbling, and it was just insane. And then kind of just fast forward through the rest of the middle section of the year, because summer was just obviously Arizona. It was hot as crap, so really didn't do anything for the summer. I picked up the Del Sol. So that was also a really good part of 2018, because if it wasn't for this little car, I mean, shoot, the Integra probably wouldn't be as far along as it is now, because I'm sure I would have probably had to dump a lot more money into maintenance items and such. And I just love this little car. It's such, now that it's coming together too, it's got like the complete front end, like it's all painted. It's just great. I still have lots of plans for it, but I'm just so stoked that one of you guys was able to hit me up out here and was like, yo, I know you want a Del Sol, I got one, I'll hook you up, and you gave it to me for such a good price. So then yeah, fast forward a little bit through the year and come into import face-off time, and then that was also awesome, because I got to meet a lot of cool local companies that mess with Hondas out here. I got to meet a lot of local subscribers, another YouTuber, Lorenzo, 360 Garage, so he was out there. That's when I met him for the first time. And I mean, all in all, I guess this is kind of a crappy recap, but I mean, look at this. We picked up a Del Sol, we K-swapped my Integra, I learned how to weld, do a bunch of brackets. I made a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances, met a lot of cool people in the business of all these things. Yeah, it was crazy. I don't even know what else to say, because it's been such a hectic year. It's just everything was kind of sprung out over time. I mean, obviously the Integra's come such a long way. The Del Sol has come a long way, still has a long way to go, but I mean, everything comes in due time. So on that note, guys, I'm gonna just end this here. I know, again, I'm sorry if that was a bad recap, but that was honestly just my few favorite parts of 2018, because the rest of the year, if you watch my videos regularly, we just kind of spent doing one little piece at a time to this and to the Integra and going on little road trips here and there. And Saturdays for the boys. That was fun. But yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of it down below. Hopefully the next video will be us starting to get the motor and clutch and tranny put together, because it's supposed to be here hopefully tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, so stick around for that. And then obviously I like vlogging, so who knows what the next video will be. Anyways, guys, do what you love, forget about the rest. I'm gonna go take some more photos, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.